Well, I'm really excited for our next guest speaker. As someone who has really felt um, the silver lining of COVID through social media and how its effectiveness, or how it has been so effective for at least our club in the last year. So I am really excited to introduce Martha Graham. So Martha was raised on a potato farm in Western New Brunswick, and she's always had a passion for both business and education. After completing her Bachelor of Education, she worked and taught at NBCC for 7 years and also started and co-owned a wedding and events coordinating and decorating business, hosting events as large as 500 guests. In 2016, she was offered a role in marketing, and as more and more businesses were looking to market digitally, she quickly became the market expert in educating businesses in digital marketing, ensuring local businesses can thrive alongside the Amazons and the Wayfairs of the world. Now working with Townsquare Media, a media company spanning 67 markets across the US and Atlantic Canada, she helps businesses and organizations understand how utilizing data, various online platforms, and timely messaging can influence and shift the path to purchase and reach customers where people spend the most of their time, online. So here to share more about how to use social media to the advantage of your club is Martha Graham. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to go right ahead and share my screen here. And there we go. Is that working for everyone? Awesome.
Yep,
Thanks so much. Oh, just one sec. I just got to move one other thing. There we go. All right, so thanks you so much for that introduction, and really thanks for having me as a guest speaker. And most of all, thank you guys for all that you do in your organizations, everything that you do in your communities, and the contribution that you're all making just by being here today and being part of Rotaract, and that contribution you're making to the greater good. We'd be really lost without organizations like yours. So I am here to talk about social media, building awareness and inspiring action with social media platforms. So I'm going to introduce you a little bit more to me and kind of my role and how I help businesses. I'm going to give you a little background on how digital marketing works, understanding what we call the funnel or the marketing funnel, and then helping you guys identify your audience and why that's so important, as well as picking your platform, using different tools that are available to you, and then assessing the results so that you can only improve your online platform and adjust with what people are looking for from you when they're receiving your message. So I'm the digital marketing team lead at our local Townsquare Media, which is actually based out of Presque Isle, Maine. So we are a US company, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But as my introduction said there, I've been working in digital marketing for about the last 5 years, and primarily digital marketing, with some print marketing as well as some radio. And prior to that, I was an educator, but I promise I won't give you too much homework today, just some useful, hopefully useful tactics to help you guys. And yeah, I worked at NBCC for 7 years prior to making the shift into marketing. I live in Woodstock, New Brunswick with my husband and our 2 dogs. However, my husband and I are also foster parents. So there's a picture there of us with 3 of our little foster children that we had for about a year before they returned home to their birth parents. And when I'm not talking about marketing, which is a lot because I'm very passionate about it, I am spending my summers and my free time either at our cottage, at the lake, watching lawnmower racing. My brother is big on that circuit. And pre-pandemic, certainly hosting events with friends, especially make your own sushi nights. So Townsquare Media, we're the 3rd largest broadcast media company in the US. And three of our stations, which are based out of Presque Isle, Maine, is right on the border of New Brunswick, here in Western New Brunswick. And we are able to basically be voices in the communities on the radio side on both sides of the border. So we're really uniquely positioned. And that makes me one of only two employees that are working here on the Canadian side of the border for Townsquare, which is really cool because I find that often in the US, they're a step ahead of us when it comes to their technology integration, their early adapters, where Canadians are a little bit slower to adapt and to access some of the data that's available. So I've been able to use the power of this major broadcast company who made the switch into digital about 10 years ago and offer it to Canadian businesses. And I do work pretty much exclusively with Canadian businesses. So Townsquare Media Group, that's kind of our radio side of our business. Townsquare Ignite is kind of the branch that I work under now, which is our digital marketing solutions. And we are proud to say we have direct partnerships with Facebook and Google, and most recently Amazon, which is really exciting. And we have our own first-party data based on anybody that's visiting our own websites, as well as third-party data that we purchase through all of the largest providers and exchanges that put ads in front of people on all different platforms anytime you're online. And then we have Townsquare Interactive, which is our website division, and we currently host over 22,000 businesses' websites, and they're all monthly subscribers. So we're earning their business every 30 days, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about digital marketing and essentially the why and the how. So I apologize that some of this is US data. It's way easier to come by than Canadian specific data, but it's pretty, Canadian data is pretty actively squared and mirrored with US data. Our activity is pretty much the same. So digital time includes everything from social media to email to Google searches to watching content on YouTube or Netflix. And as you can see, it all adds up very quickly. So 2021 and 2022, these are kind of what they're forecasting. But as recently as 2020, we were spending almost 8 hours a day. In 2021, we've increased by another 7 minutes a day. And by 2022, they're forecasting that it'll be over 8 hours a day that we're spending with digital. So it all adds up really quickly. And our smartphones are over half of that time. So Americans are known to open their smartphones over 160 times a day, which just seems like insane amount of times. But I bet if you did install one of those apps, it counts it, you wouldn't be that far off. And the number of swipes and taps and clicks is over 2,600. So we really are, it's integrated into every single thing we do. And we're using especially mobile devices more than desktops or laptops or any other form of, or even tablets. Everything is on mobile now, as you guys well know, I'm sure. And nearly 3 hours of that total time spent online is spent with social media. So Facebook is obviously the largest at 68%. Instagram follows, about 41% of people are using Instagram on average. 25% are using LinkedIn, 23% are using Snapchat, 22% are using Twitter. TikTok is the fastest growing platform right now. It's currently sitting about 20% as of March. Clubhouse just starting to make a few ripples at 2% usage, and only 16% of people are using no social media platforms. And why that matters is because the world's industry leaders are now all operating on digital platforms. So the world's largest taxi company, they don't even own any taxis. It's completely a digital platform. The world's largest accommodation provider, they don't even own any real estate. That's Airbnb. The world's largest phone company, what we're using here today, and being a Canadian employee for a US company is what I've been using exclusively for the last year because I can't even cross the border to our local office, is Zoom. And the most popular media owner doesn't create any of their own content. We pretty much create all the content for them. That's Facebook. And the world's largest movie house, they don't own any cinemas, and that's Netflix. So my goal is to really make sure that the businesses and the organizations that I work with are the Netflix of the world and not the Blockbusters of the world. Because if you're old enough, you know what happened to Blockbuster. They had the option to make some shifts in their business and they chose not to, and to make some investments into digital, and they really chose not to. And it was the end of them. It was a death sentence to not make that shift. So I'm really excited to be able to work with businesses and make sure that they are with the Netflix of the world, and they do continue to thrive. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background on exactly how digital marketing works. We hear a lot about algorithms and cookies and data collection, but few people really understand how exactly it works. So this is a little bit creepy, but basically everything you do online, every content that you've ever consumed online, every product you've ever bought, every Google search you've ever done, every phone app you've ever downloaded on your phone, every video you've ever watched online, every newsletter that you've ever signed up for, filled in your age, your household income, your name, your address, all of those form fills, anything that comes into your email, the way you interact with people and brands on social media, basically everything you do online is all creating a profile about you. So we used to have to pay to get access to information. We had to buy magazines, we had to buy books, we had to buy like movies or like how-tos. We had to pay for our subscription to watch TV. And we used to have to pay to learn pretty much anything. And now that's pretty much all free as long as you have some kind of internet connected device and a connection. But we do pay for it with our data. So that data is collected and it puts you in different segments, such as your age, your job title, whether you've got children in the household or not, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you intend to travel. I think we all do, hopefully again someday. If you're really into sports, maybe you're in market for a big purchase like a home or a car. Maybe you're a beauty product buyer or you're searching for organic foods. All of those things are data that marketers really love because it allows us to put ads in front of the people that matter the most to our clients. And it kind of limits that budget wastage when we are working within a budget. So for example, a few years ago, I moved into my new home and I was doing all kinds of searches of inspiration to update it and make it my own. And so I was, for example, looking at kitchen paint colors. We used to have pink countertops. So I'll let you guys put that together with a vision. And so all of the ads that I was being served at that time were everything from kitchen consultations to paint ads to if I wanted to rebuild the whole kitchen from IKEA. Home protection made sense as an ad to be served to me because I'd obviously recently moved and was making renovations. Home decor from businesses like HomeSense. And what does everybody need when they are busy moving or renovating? You need an easy meal idea delivered to your door. And Pizza Hut certainly got a bunch of my money during that stage in our lives. And they still do, to be honest, with that triple treat box. And then, as I said, a couple of years ago, my husband and I started fostering, and previously we didn't have any children, and our first placement was 3 little girls, all aged 3 and under. And for any of those who are parents out there or have been around kids a lot, that's a pretty major life shift overnight to go from 0 to 3 under 3. So we had to rely on our friends and family a lot, but also Google to figure out how to keep these 3 precious little girls alive and understand all the developmental milestones that they had, feeding, sleeping, learning activities, all of those kind of things. So instantly, my online activity changed very quickly, and Google was able to keep up. The data was able to keep up, and the ads that I was being served very quickly changed to being like parent focused or child focused. So everything from car seats to strollers, and then, not even particularly baby products, but what's more important than anything when you are a brand new parent is getting really good sleep. So I was getting sleep ads or mattress ads that were targeted to parents. and insurance ads that were targeted to parents. So understanding where people are in their lives and how that messaging is going to connect with them in that moment is one of the most important things that we look at when it comes to designing a marketing strategy. And a simple marketing funnel is the best way to organize your marketing strategy and help you decide if you're going to spend dollars or really just even how to communicate with your target audience. So it may sound really basic, but this is exactly what our team uses every time we put down as a foundation, every time we put a plan together. So when we think about any funnel, the more that you put in the top, the more that's going to come out the bottom. So at the top, we think of awareness, and this is really all about building your brand and attracting attention. So it's letting people know what you do and letting them know that that you guys are here to serve the community, whether it's today or in the future. Looking down the funnel into interest, this is where you're really educating on what you do and why you do it, and that why is so important. It's all about the impact that you're making and connecting to people on an emotional level, differentiating yourselves from other organizations, nonprofits, volunteer groups, all of those kind of things. So what is it that makes you guys different and why should that matter to people? And then intent. So this is where you're, really identifying what your goals are, what you need as an organization. And I think from talking to a couple of you and just listening in over the last half hour or so, a major goal is asking people to join your clubs and creating that sustainability. So but they're not going to, you're not going to be able to ask for it until they understand what you do and why you do it. So the more you put in the top, the more that's going to come out the bottom. And people who don't know that you exist won't seek to understand what you do, and they won't respond to your offers and requests. People who are interested in responding will be deterred if it's not easy to find out more. So you do need to make it easy when somebody is ready to take action. And it really is kind of like stair steps. The more people who know, the more people who are going to understand, the more people who are going to respond, and then they're not going to be deterred as long as you're making it easy. So let's talk about what exactly your organizations need to do to really dig in and develop your strategy. And really it's about 3 steps. So identifying your target audience, picking your platform, and refining your messaging. So when it comes to identifying your audience, you need to really develop a profile. So this is an opportunity for you guys to sit down, whether it's in person or through Zoom, with your executive or with your entire group, and develop a profile. So who is the ideal person that you want to reach with your messaging? What is their age, their interests, their work, their education? How many details can you guys identify about who the ideal people? And I know, like a business, they'll say, well, I want everyone to shop here, and you guys want everyone to join. But if you really think about who's going to make the biggest difference, be the biggest influencers, you can narrow down that profile. And I encourage businesses and organizations to do that. Because once you really understand who exactly is the best customer for you, the best person to target to get to join, you can then take it that step further and understand their motivations and really think outside the box here. So why would that person want to join Rotaract? What are the benefits to that person of joining, and what's going to speak to them to motivate them to join? What kind of information do they need to know in order to make an educated decision about joining? And what's going to be expected of them? Especially when you're looking at the kind of generations that you guys are looking to recruit, there's a lot of anxiety just to be stereotypical, and you're allowed to be stereotypical when you're identifying your audience. The stereotypes are what's going to really feed this. But we do know that there is a bit of anxiety with Gen Z and millennials. And so anything you can do to alleviate that and really talk about what is expected, what it looks like when they join, is all going to be helpful in moving them through that funnel. And then you want to create a frictionless experience. So making sure that it's easy for them to find out more, because we all do, whether we're purchasing something, we all check reviews and we do our research and we read up on different products before we make that purchase. And it's the same before you reach out and actually connect with somebody. You're usually doing that research because we all have research tools in the palm of our hand with these little mobile devices. Letting them know if they do reach out to you on a platform, who are they talking to? Who's going to respond to them? Letting them know where they can find more information and what they can expect when they say, hey, I might be interested. Then what happens? And then varying your offer. So single event commitment options are a great idea. So it's not, no, we're not asking you to sign your life away here. Maybe you just want to join us for one single event. Maybe you're asking for specific skills that are really going to resonate with someone. So we need a photographer for this one event, or we really need somebody with this set of skills with, whether it's website building skills or whatever it is that your club needs, trying to be more specific, because if somebody feels like, oh, that's a skill that I have, they're going to be that much more likely to be like, oh, well, they need me in particular because I know I have these skills that you're looking for. Giving them virtual and in-person options, which again, whether you're a business or an organization, is super important over the last year. Creating urgency whenever you can, and targeting more specific profiles. So if you're looking at high school students, maybe talking to them at their graduation. Workplaces that have lots of 18 to 35-year-olds, multicultural associations where that age group may be kind of lost a little bit in terms of making connections in the community and then speaking to the things that are going to matter the most to them. So Rotaract is a great way to meet other young people of your age. And I know, multicultural associations typically have people that are new to town. They don't have those connections, and utilizing that messaging to reach out to those specific groups. You may even want to create a hit list. Like here's 10 to 15 people that we know as a group who we think would be awesome additions to our team. What do those people have in common? Anything you can do to help. Again, stereotypes are okay in this exercise because they're really only going to help you. So let's think about your audience. Really, you've kind of got two groups. You've got your millennials, which were born between 1980 and 1995, and then you've got your Gen Z that have been born 1995 till now. So the millennials, again, understanding them, using those stereotypes. You can Google, there's tons of stereotypes out there about millennials and Gen Z. But millennials really, they grew up in the digital age. They value transparency, they value collaboration, authenticity, flexibility, instant gratification, recognition, and career advancement. 70% of millennials do volunteer regularly, but they're more likely to volunteer if they feel connected to the cause. And their primary social platforms are Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. We kind of grew up with those. We were the first adopters of those platforms, and we're pretty loyal to them. Gen Z, this generation, unfortunately, was exposed to a lot of pretty serious issues at a young age. So everything from terrorism to school violence and global conflict, and now a global pandemic. So because of that, Gen Z adapts really easily, and they're very interested in social change. So having friends that volunteer with them is actually nearly twice as important as working on issues that they care about deeply, whereas millennials are more likely to volunteer when they're really connected to the cause. So again, thinking about who your target audience is every time you're posting on social media, whether you're writing a post for millennials or writing a post for Gen Z, your messaging is going to vary a little bit based on what we know drives them, what we know about their current circumstances, and what we know about those stereotypes that kind of make a Gen Z person a Gen Z person. In terms of social platforms, Gen Z is shifting only slightly away from Facebook and Instagram, and are heavier adopters of Snapchat and TikTok. So there's all kinds of platforms out there. I'm going to talk about kind of the 4 that I feel are most important for your organizations right now. So Facebook, as everyone knows, is a primary place where you're going to find millennials and baby boomers. If you're posting as an organization or a business on Facebook, you want to be posting a minimum of 3 times per week for the best traction. And the best times to post are between Monday and Thursday, and between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And the content that you can post can vary between images and texts and video, links to interesting articles and events. And really varying your content is going to get you the best response. On Instagram, you're looking more at millennials and Gen Z. sort of significantly less baby boomers and older on there. On Instagram, you're going to be posting a minimum of 3 times per week for the best traction. And ideally, they're recommending 1 to 2 times a day, which can be pretty intense amount of content. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. or between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. are the best times to post. And again, images, videos, reels, quotes, and hashtags are all things that you can be using on Instagram. On LinkedIn, you're really looking at mostly millennials. Some Gen Zs are starting, but your primary audience is going to be millennials there. And you don't need to post more than twice a week on LinkedIn. The best times to post are between on Wednesdays between 8 a.m. and noon, and Thursdays and Fridays at 9 a.m. on the dot. Images, links, polls, and text are all the best ways to grab attention in a LinkedIn feed. And just really, it's a little bit different content than what you're posting on Facebook and Instagram. So you really want to make sure that it's professional and insightful content that your audience who's receiving that message is able to engage with. And then TikTok, as I mentioned earlier, it's the fastest growing platform, highly used by Gen Z. Millennials are a growing audience on there as well. Tuesdays between either at 9 a.m. or 2 p.m., Thursdays at 12 a.m. and Fridays at 5 a.m. Are, for some reason, don't ask me why, are the best times to get your video seen. And it's all short video content. Oh, I think I skipped one. There we go. So I've saved the best of those 3 parts for last, and it's all about refining your messaging. So now that we have a profile of who your audience is, and we know which platform is most going to be reached by reach that audience, it's all about refining your messaging. So every time you post anything, again, think about who you're writing it for, and think about leading them through that marketing funnel that I showed you. So I don't expect you guys to be up at 5 a.m. posting on TikTok and creating a video. So there's all kinds of really great social planning tools and scheduling publisher tools that you can use. And thinking about the rule of thirds. So as you're deciding your content, a third of it should be educational, a third of it can be entertaining, and then a third of it can be promotional. Post content that asks for interaction and response, because that's going to help expand your network. Tagging other pages and tagging people when appropriate. Again, that's only going to help you organically. Every time I say if I say organically, it just means that you're not paying for it. It's going to help you organically reach more people. Offering a variety of ways to get involved that pertain to different people's strengths. You always have to be way more explicit about what you need, what you want, what you're doing than you ever think. And sometimes, whether it's businesses or organizations, people are too close to what you're doing, and it's so well understood yourself and within your own group that you don't think about, okay, if I'm somebody that's never heard of Rotaract, what do they need to know? If I'm somebody that knows about Rotaract, but I don't understand the why, think about answering those questions, answering all those questions that I listed on the identify your profile, just anticipating how you can answer those questions and have that information there for people to research to help lead them through that funnel of awareness and education, and then asking for that intent. And share stories. Don't forget that social media is about being social. So sharing your stories, your struggles, the funny things that happened in a meeting, anything kind of behind the scenes is always a fun way to personalize yourselves, make people feel connected to you, because whether you're purchasing or joining, it's all done not for logical reasons, it's done for emotional reasons. So if you can appeal to that emotion and make make your groups feel really personable and something that I feel like I'm missing out on because I missed that funny story or I missed that event, and seeing what's going on behind the scenes, it might look a little bit messier, but it does make it a little bit more relatable. So Simon Sinek's Golden Circle is something that I couldn't go without mentioning. And if you're not familiar with Simon Sinek, he is an ex-ad executive who really has written some really intelligent novels. I highly recommend his book, Start With Why. And his big idea is the golden circle. So every organization on the planet, they know what they do. These are the products that they sell, the services that they offer, it's what they do. And if somebody asks you about Rotaract, you're probably describing what it is you do. But only some organizations know how they do it or are able to easily articulate how they do it. So these are the things that make you guys special. They set you apart from other organizations and nonprofits and volunteer groups. And very few organizations know why they do what they do. So again, when we talk about what we do or how we do it, we often forget to mention why. And why is not about making money as a business, or it's not about having extra people join up. The why is your purpose, the cause, and your belief. It's the very reason that your organization exists. And a lot of businesses and organizations start out really understanding the why, but as they move through, they kind of forget about it and they start talking more about the other, the what's and the hows. So it's just not as obvious as the what's in terms of understanding that cause, that belief, and that emotional connection to what it is that you do and why people should care. What is it that makes you guys get out of bed in the morning? So really focusing on that and working that into your messaging and your strategy and just how you guys talk about it as your elevator pitch, if you will, when you're talking about what Rotaract is, not just what they are, not just how you do what you do and have the impact, but why it is. That's what's going to make the biggest influence. So when we communicate our purpose or our cause first, we communicate in a way that actually drives decision making. And Simon Sinek actually talks about how it literally taps into a different part of the brain when we start talking about why. And he talks about companies like Apple and other really inspired, Harley Davidson is another one, where people who are loyal to that brand, there's no talking them out of it. They get tattoos with Harley Davidson or Apple. Like there's a whole next level of commitment to the brand. And it's because those are brands that did a really great job at talking about the why and not just the how and the what. So I'll leave you with a quote. When you start with why, those who believe what you believe are drawn to you for very personal reasons. It is those who share your values and beliefs, not the quality of your products, that will cause the system to tip. So I have given you a few tools to create and measure. So anytime you're posting and you don't have real live pictures from events that you guys have organized and had pictures of, you can go get some really great stock images from Pexels or Unsplash or Burst. These are all royalty free. There's also video. I don't know if I can get this to play. There it goes. So invideo.io allows you to download and edit and add text and add your logo to all kinds of video clips. Pexels also has some really great free clips. And then you want to measure. So if you're using multiple platforms, you can use, there's great tools out there such as Buffer and Sprout Social and Hootsuite. Really, if you just do a search for social media scheduling and managing tools, there's a whole bunch of them out there, and most of them are free that or have free options at the very least. That's going to allow you to see what messages are resonating the best and what's working the best. Platforms, the style, whether it's images are working better or videos are working better in terms of reaching your audience. So measuring and then adjusting to what is resonating the most with your audience. So when you look at your entire digital presence, we think of it as a house. So where your website is the foundation, you can't have a house without some sort of foundation. And your SEO, this is anywhere else on the internet that people can find you. So that's making sure that you have your Google My Business up to date, that any Yellow Page listings or any other places, your Facebook, that they're all consistent with your location and the linking to each other. And then you can't have a house without a kitchen and a bathroom. Those are pretty essential to having a home. So that's where we say organic social media is also super important and essential. And then you start adding from there of things that are less essential to having a home, but certainly are nice to have. And that's where we start looking at paid social media, retargeting, targeted display, search engine management, OTT or connected TV, YouTube video, basically a video strategy, targeting events, those kind of things. So less essential to your home overall, but still really important. So if you want to find out more, like I said, I could talk about this for hours, but feel free to have your organization, or if you think this would be helpful for a business that you guys are working for, you can book a one-on-one with me. Learn more about our website subscription packages or our digital marketing solutions. Receive a full digital presence assessment with insights into your industry and what I can see based on your specific organization or business that can help. I do both virtual meetings and digital targeting allows us to connect and collaborate with businesses and organizations really anywhere in the world. And I am fortunate to work with businesses across Canada, all the way out to BC. So I've left my contact information there. You can find me on LinkedIn. I put that picture there because that is my display picture on LinkedIn to make it a little bit easier. And if you want to jot down my number or my email there and reach out to me that way, I'd be happy to connect with you and answer any questions that you have. Thanks again so much for having me here today. And if I have a few minutes, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has right now.